Our protagonist today is a broke guy who can travel between the zombie world, where his beautiful, loving companions are, and the normal human world, where his beloved lives. In the zombie world, he can basically become a king. There's gold everywhere, but it's pretty much worthless. In the human world, there's plenty of food, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as it does in the zombie world. But in the beginning,
someone mutters something, but the protagonist can't make it out and feels a wave of confusion. Suddenly, he awakens in a completely empty place, groaning as a sharp headache pounds through his skull. A strange, rotting stench fills the air, making him shiver as he wonders where he has ended up. Slowly, he rises to his feet and realizes he's standing atop a building. Peering over the edge, he freezes in horror at the scene below. The crowd moving beneath him is off, unnatural. As he focuses, his stomach twists. They are zombies. Panicking, he takes a few hesitant steps backward, struggling to comprehend how he went from the normal world to this nightmare. He pats his pockets for his phone, hoping for answers online, but it's gone. Instead, he finds only a half-eaten bag of chips he bought earlier. That's all he has. Once it's gone forever. He mutters to himself, frustrated that he didn't even get a girlfriend before all this chaos. Suddenly, the rooftop door swings open. A woman appears, walking in like she owns the place. The protagonist ducks behind a corner, heart hammering, wondering how zombies could have climbed up there. Maybe he's already dead. Then he sees her stab a water tank, letting the cascading water wash her filthy body. Outraged, he mutters that even a zombie wouldn't bathe like that. But when she splashes her face, he realizes she's just a human. He accidentally steps on a loose stone. The noise betrays him. The girl spins, ready to attack, sprinting toward him. He tries to speak, but she punches him square in the face, immediately drawing a gun. Terrified, he screams for her not to kill him. Annoyed, she demands his identity. Flustered, he stammers, sweat pouring down his face. Furious at his panic, he slaps him and shouts threats. He begs desperately. Suddenly, a monstrous creature lunges from behind, narrowly missing her. The protagonist freezes in shock at the monster. Something strikes the creature, but it's still alive. She starts shooting, only to realize the mutated zombie is almost impervious. Her bullets barely scratch it. She fires at its eyes, blinding it, giving them a small advantage. The rooftop is tiny, no place to hide, and more zombies could appear any second. The monster, massive and limping, moves slowly but threateningly. Roaring, the monster charges and the girl unsheathes a sword, its jagged teeth forged for fighting zombies. The protagonist yells warnings as she swings. With one fluid motion, she slices off the creature's arm, then wraps the blade around its neck. Pulling out a glowing blue stone, she inspects the zombie court and mutters about the mess she's in. She just bathed and is filthy again. Turning to him, she demands to know why he's acting like a coward and which faction he belongs to. Panicking, the protagonist insists this is insane, maybe just a product of horror movies. He starts munching on his chips. She snatches the bag, demanding answers about him and the precious elixir of life he carries. Realizing she's armed with deadly blades, he begins to grasp the seriousness of the situation. In desperation, he blurts out his name, Qin Shuang, an ordinary guy, and claims he bought the chips at a supermarket. Suddenly, a bullet strikes her leg. More bullets rain from above. Qin asks if she's okay. She's furious, wondering why mutant zombies are hunting her, realizing someone must be orchestrating this. A voice from above praises her skill, calling the plan of sending zombies brilliant. Another confirms the leader's genius. One man frets, asking their leader what to do if she retaliates. The leader assures him the bullet is laced with a deadly toxin. Qin notices her leg, it's bad. She explains the bullet's poison is far deadlier than the regular zombie virus, and that the shooters are from the 17th faction after the zombie corps she just claimed. If caught, both will die. Qin panics, asking what to do. She tells him to escape while she holds them off. When he asks about her fate, she admits that only penicillin can save her, but it's rare. Soon she'll turn into a zombie if untreated. She instructs him to find her sister and protect her. Qin is stunned. He's never thought of penicillin as a zombie cure. She explains her plan. She will fire to distract their attackers, and he must escape through the rooftop door amidst the smoke. Taking his chance, Qin dashes, holding the note she gave him, torn by guilt for leaving her behind. Back in his world, he wakes in a hospital bed amidst chaos. He spots vials of penicillin on a nurse's cart and grabs as many as he can, sprinting towards a dimensional transfer command. He He reappears in the other world beside the girl. He pokes her, asking if she's alive. She yells, furious. He should have escaped, but he offers her a vial of penicillin, insisting it's real. Hesitant, she accepts, and slowly her body recovers. Amazed, she asks what kind of penicillin it is. Suddenly, noises from the rooftop door snap them to attention. Members of the 17th faction appeared. Their leader ordered them to search for the girl and coldly suggested they could have some fun with her if she was still alive. Gripping her sword, she stepped forward and asked if that's who they were looking for, claiming she had been waiting for them all along. The leader couldn't comprehend how she was still alive. Panic spread through the group as everyone started retreating. Kin felt a flicker of relief. Maybe he no longer needed to worry about her. His attention was drawn to a notebook lying on the table. Curious, he picked it up. On the cover, it was labeled Adult Diary. Flipping through the pages, he realized the author was far from ordinary.
July 21, 2080. The diary's owner had seen a beautiful girl washing clothes across the street. July 22. A new manager at his company sat nearby. She had an incredible figure. Rumors about a deadly new virus began to spread, but seeing her, he didn't feel fear. Soon, she became his enemy, turning into a zombie and hunting him. The company went into quarantine. He was trapped in the office, forbidden to leave. July 24. Most of the population was already infected, and he was down to his last pack of food. July 25. Reaching his breaking point, he decided to venture outside to find food. The streets were empty, yet stores had descended into chaos. People fought over supplies in supermarkets and pharmacies. He managed to secure some food and medicine, only to witness someone being bitten right before his eyes. August 3. He noted that the TV signal had gone out 2 days prior. The news anchor had warned that everyone was doomed. August 17. Food was gone. Leaving the room would almost certainly mean getting bitten. Starving, he was on the verge of death. Across the street, he saw a woman screaming as her own husband attacked her, then began eating her flesh. The sight made him vomit. August 19. 4 days without food. He was near death from hunger. Then, someone knocked at his door requesting penicillin. They traded a large amount of food for it. Penicillin seemed effective against virus. August 21. He witnessed someone eating a dead zombie and wondered if it was even edible. August 30. He was robbed, losing all his penicillin, the only hope he had left. September 1. He finally ventured out. Despite the streets being crawling with the infected, survival meant fighting, scavenging, or following the example of the man he had seen eating human flesh. Encountering a zombie, he drew his knife, him or the zombie. After that, the diary ended. He likely never returned home, probably dead. Kin now understood the world better. The infected had become zombies. And one critical detail, penicillin was more valuable than gold. While people there desperately searched for it, in his world, he could buy it easily. That made him incredibly rich in that reality. Suddenly, the 17th faction leader pointed a gun at Kin. He's got a whole box of penicillin, the same one that saved her. The leader said, snatching a vial. Bring this back and your rank will rise. When he threatens Kin, the boy shouted he had more. The girl burst into the room, ordering them not to touch him. The leader warned her to stay still or Kin would die. Weapon in hand, she threatened that if he harmed Kin, she'd cut his head off. She added that the fight had already drawn zombies, but if he let Kin go, there might still be a chance to escape. Anyone who stayed would die. They returned to the rooftop. The leader still held Kin hostage. Furious, the man called the girl Xiao Liuxing, accusing her of killing many of his men and vowing revenge. Firing a grappling hook toward a nearby building, he pushed Kin toward her as he fled. Next time we meet, you'll be zombie food. The girl bristled, while Kin took advantage of being held in her arms. Xiao asked how long he planned to stay like that. That night, zombies roamed the streets below. Xiao peered out the window. We need to leave this area, but first, let's rest. And I have some questions. Who you are and how you got such rare items. Kin thought Xiao seemed trustworthy despite the apocalypse, but he needed to be careful. He grabbed a bottle of penicillin and tossed it to her. Speechless, Xiao watched as he explained it was a gift for saving him, and if she stayed by his side, there'd be even more benefits. She questioned him, and he assured her it was true. He could obtain all kinds of food and rare items. Tempted, Xiao asked him to stop talking about food, but I won't protect anyone just for that.
not," she said, wary he might belong to an enemy faction. Kin assured her he didn't. He said, "Think of me as someone enjoying the luxuries of a utopia." She reflected, realizing he was clever, and the penicillin had already saved her. Finally, she agreed to protect him, warning that if he lied, she'd kill him. Delighted, Kin told her she could call him Brother Shang. Now, he wanted answers. Xiao began explaining the apocalypse. The R virus had infected 80% of humanity, reducing the global population from 9 billion to 1.5 billion, leaving mostly zombies. Zombie cores with plant-like and mineral-like traits could be consumed, turned into potions, or used as energy reserves. Evolution potions had a 20 to 35% chance to trigger evolution, while cores could serve as energy alone or within a matrix. The new R virus adapts rapidly and resists modern antibiotics, though older ones like penicillin still work effectively. However, producing it has become challenging, making it a rare commodity. After the world fell, people split into groups reminiscent of ancient tribes. In the area where they now find themselves, there are 3 small organizations: the 17th faction, the Earth Builders, and the Climbers. The group they had encountered earlier was the 17th faction, violent criminals who hunt bounties. Kin reflects on everything he's seen. He slowly begins to understand the situation. Xiao remarks that the area is crawling with zombies, and since she has to carry Kin, they should find a safe place to rest. She tells him to sleep and assures him she'll stay awake. She doesn't move a muscle. Kin thinks to himself, her expression alone reveals she's a formidable survivor. The boy calls on the system to return him to the 21st century, and the dimensional transfer begins. Kin opens his eyes to find everything happened in a blur. A woman is watching him closely, clearly relieved that he's awake. Startled, he jumps. She calmly tells him to relax. Kin addresses her as the Lady of the Earth and asks why she's there. She explains that he had run off like a maniac, but the doctor confirmed he would be fine. She had registered herself as his emergency contact and will cover his treatment. The girl asks if he's upset and offers to feed him. Kin is speechless. She laughs and says she'll make him noodles. Noticing that he doesn't have food at home, she offers to buy a few things and asks if he wants anything. Kin hands her a list.
Once alone, he carefully examines the primordial system. The cursor appears on his arm. It's simple: storage, dimensional jump, and on-off. But he wonders how to activate the on function and whether it needs charging. Soon, the girl returns with multiple shopping bags, complaining that she's tired. Kin rises to help, but she stops him. He's the patient. The girl, Zhang Lok, is a wealthy heiress. Even blind, he could tell she likes him. Yet, without money, he cannot return her feelings. Now, with the primordial system, he has a chance to grow stronger, and perhaps, with wealth, one day be with her. Suddenly, someone enters. Zhang Lok startles and asks Uncle Zhao what he's doing there. The man says her father sent him to take her to dinner. Nervously, she protests, claiming she's busy, but Xiao ignores her and shoves her aside, insisting it's her father's command. He drags her out, telling her to wake up downstairs. She asks what he's planning, but he shuts the door and looks at Kin. Kin asks if he needed anything. Zhao responds firmly, saying they thought everything was settled, yet Kin is still chasing Zhang Lok. He asks if the money he already gave Kin wasn't enough and tells him to be honest if he wants more, but to never return to her. Her father would never approve. Kin wonders what would happen if he truly became rich. Zhao says that sometimes men run into bad luck, but judging by Kin, he doubts it will ever happen. Kin grows serious. Back in the other world, the blue-haired girl wakes him. The sun is up, they need to move. It should take about an hour to reach the base. Crossing rooftops carefully to avoid zombies, they eventually arrive. Xiao tosses a stone at the gate, which opens and they enter. She announces it as their base. Kin notices it's incredibly well hidden. It seems invisible from the outside, yet Xiao presses on, urging him to hurry. She approaches a person wrapped in bandages, Ruyu, and hands over the penicillin. Kin is shocked. It's Xiao's sister. Excited, Xiao tells Ruyu to take the medicine, assuring her she'll recover soon. Kin asks about their relationship and what happened. Xiao explains that a zombie ambushed Ruyu while she was out fighting zombies and trading cores for penicillin. Ruyu, worried, asks if Xiao was hurt as well. Xiao assures her she's fine and with a friend who managed to obtain the medicine. Ruyu thanks Kin, saying he saved her life. Nervously, Kin insists there's no need to thank him. He reflects on how miraculous it is that 2 girls have survived so much. Outside, zombies still roam. Xiao returns with food, and Kin, starving, eagerly begins eating. only to immediately spit it out. Xiao was surprised, asking if it really is that bad. She hadn't noticed anything strange. Qin asks if that's all they normally eat. Confused, Xiao questions why he's crying. He explains he isn't, he just feels sorry for them. He tells her to wait, then offers something else from his pocket. Xiao finds it delicious, with a fresh, milky sweetness. Qin checks if she's okay, and Xiao makes noises of delight. He gives her more, and she devours everything, biting his hand in her excitement. She raves about how amazing it is and asks if there's more. Qin empties all the sweets from his pocket on the table. Xiao shares some with her sister, Ruyu, who loves the taste and says it makes her happy to be alive. Xiao, thrilled, tells her to eat slowly. There's plenty more. Qin, moved by the moment, gives them heaps of treats. Xiao marvels their snacks they've only seen in books. She asks if it's all really for them, and Qin assures her that there's still plenty left. Blushing, Xiao gives Qin a pouch of zombie cores she collected. Qin notices the cores make the mark on his arm burn as they get closer, perhaps a connection. He accepts the pouch and asks if she's sure she wants to part with something so valuable. Xiao insists that the penicillin she provided saved both of her and her sister, and the supplies he brought are worth much more than the cores. She says she'll repay him gradually, but Qin refuses and simply asks where the bathroom is. She points the way and he goes. The bathroom was nothing more than a small square room with a hole in the floor. Qin noticed just how deep it was, but he decided to use it anyway. As he examined the zombie cores, he suddenly felt a connection between one of them and his arm. The core fused into his skin, and the system alerted him that his dimensional jump ability had been upgraded. He could now perform 3 jumps instead of 2. Excited, Qin tried to add more cores, but in his distraction, they slipped from his hands and fell straight into the toilet hole. Once he reached the point where he could store 9 dimensional jumps, he decided to save the remaining cores. Yet when he checked his pouch, it was nearly empty. Confused, he looked down and realized what had happened. Qin stood there speechless, then left the bathroom feeling defeated. Xiao noticed and asked what was wrong, but he simply replied, "It's nothing." Outside, the area teemed with zombies. During mealtime, Xiao served that terrible food again. Qin asked why we were eating it when he had brought so much good food. She questioned how he could be so casual with such precious supplies, but he assured her he still had plenty. Confused, she asked if he hadn't given them everything. Qin considered using the system to replicate the food, but it might look suspicious. He needed enough to feed 3 people for several days. He explained that as a merchant, he always had new goods arriving. Xiao asked why he hadn't mentioned that sooner, and he admitted he didn't trust her yet. The next day, Qin prepared to leave to get more supplies. Xiao handed him a small pistol. "Why is it so tiny?" he asked. She smiled. "Size doesn't matter. That one packs a punch." Before he left, she offered to accompany him, but he declined, promising he'd return soon. Meanwhile, Ruyu woke up and called for Xiao. The girl was shocked to see her sister standing. Ruyu explained that the penicillin had worked perfectly and asked Xiao to secretly follow Qin to see where he went. His actions and appearance didn't match the local world. He didn't even seem to understand the local rules. Even if he appeared generous, he couldn't be fully trusted. After walking some distance, Qin felt far enough. He activated his dimensional jump to return to the normal world. He rose from the hospital bed and decided to leave. He couldn't afford to stay. Outside, he checked his phone. He hadn't worked in months, and his bank accounts were nearly empty. Despite appearances, he was completely broke. Still, he needed to visit the market to buy rare items for the apocalyptic world. Food and medicine were priceless there, but he had no way to sell them safely. The 17th faction would surely rob him. At the checkout, Qin ran all the food through. Xiao was skilled, but she could only protect him from zombies. She had mentioned another faction that might be useful. The cashier totaled everything at 1,054 yuan. Qin returned home, packing the items into the system's storage along with some extra clothes. Dimensional jumps were costly, so he had to economize. He felt a pang of regret, thinking about the zombie cores he had lost. Back in the zombie world, Xiao wondered how Qin had vanished. She questioned her tracking abilities and decided to wait and see if he returned. When Qin reappeared, he carried a box. He tried to carry everything himself to avoid suspicion, but the area was crawling with zombies. Alarmed, he realized the nearest rooftop was too far, so he considered retreating, but the zombies began climbing toward him. Panicked, Qin fell back, clutching a cable as the monster struggled below. He requested a dimensional jump, but the system offered to unlock a rapid climbing skill instead. He insisted he could hold on and begged for the jump. The system informed him he had 7 skill points and that the new ability cost only 1. Curiosity won, and he accepted. The skill activated. He could now support his entire weight with a single hand and even walk along the cable as if it were solid ground.
Feeling like Spider-Man, Qin crossed the wire effortlessly. Xiao watched, realizing she had underestimated him. His abilities were far beyond ordinary. Ruyu had been right to be suspicious. Landing on the rooftop of a neighboring building, Qin saw his original path completely blocked by zombies. He would need to climb higher to find a new route back to the base. Using his wall climbing skill, he ascended with excitement, knowing he still had more abilities to unlock. Peering through a window, he noticed several zombies inside. They grew restless as soon as they spotted him. He mocked their trap state until the glass began to crack. It shattered under their weight and they lunged at him. Instinctively, Qin struck one in the neck, sending its head flying. He paused, realizing just how strong he had become, able to take down zombies with his bare hands. Another zombie lunges at him from behind. Qin swiftly strikes its neck, killing it instantly. Surrounded by monsters, he leaps to another ledge outside the building. That was too close. This world is unforgiving. Suddenly, Qin feels lighter. He checks his backpack and realizes with horror that it's gone. It tumbled down to the ground below, right into a horde of zombies. Tears well up in his eyes as he curses his luck. All that effort, all that money spent, and now it's all gone. This was his one shot to get rich, and he couldn't afford to lose it. Determined, Qin returns to the broken window and taunts the zombies. As they scramble to reach him, several topple out of the window, clearing the room below. He climbs in and retrieves his backpack, thinking grimly about how fragile zombies really are. Then something shifts in his attention. He wonders if he's imagining it, but a shadow morphs into a creature, a massive, fast-moving monster, smiling as it charges. Qin freezes as it slams him against the wall. Pain shoots through him as he scrambles to escape, but the creature's laughter echoes in his ears. It moves faster than he could ever anticipate. Returning to the real world is an option, but he knows he'll have to come back. Qin acts swiftly. He commands the system to use all his zombie cores for an upgrade. Level 6 achieved, unlocking fearless focus and firm stance. Suddenly, he can anticipate every movement, dodge every strike, and respond with precision. Still, the zombies don't stop. Even at full power, his stamina is draining fast. One slip, 1 second too slow, and he's finished. He lands on the ground, facing the monstrous zombie. It charges again. Qin drives a wooden plank through it, but the creature only shudders and laughs while impaled. Still not dead? He mutters in frustration. Outside, other zombies begin stirring. Qin searches the creature's body and finds its core. Exhausted but relieved, he finally has something to show for his struggle. Later, he returns to the base. Cho watches, impressed and curious at how he managed to escape. His combat skills now rival her own. The base gate swings open. Qin enters, grinning, announcing he brought valuable supplies. Cho's sister appears, looking much better, and asks if Brother Shang has returned. Confused, Qin asks her name. She's no longer bandaged. She smiles and says, "I'm Ruyu." Noticing the blood covering him, she asks if he's hurt. "Just zombie blood," he replies. Ruyu insists on checking him anyway. He agrees, feeling a strange sense of comfort as she approaches. She reassures herself that he's unharmed, and then immediately complains about how filthy he is. Qin is puzzled by the sudden mention of a bath. Ruyu explains the water shortage and the need to conserve. Under the shower, she bathes calmly, while Qin grows nervous. She teases him about taking too long and worries about Xiao's reaction. Confused, he asks why it matters. They usually bathe together. She insists he stop stalling and step in. Reluctantly, he does.
He's surprised to see her smiling, but then Xiao appears behind him. She asks what he saw. Flustered, Qin lies, claiming his terrible eyesight prevents him from seeing anything. Later, he tries to lighten the mood by showing Xiao what he brought back: fruits for a balanced diet. She beams at the banana. Encouraging her to eat, Qin watches as she enjoys it. Xiao becomes ecstatic, declaring her love for bananas, while Ruyu remarks at how surreal it feels to have so much food. Qin promises that if they keep him safe, he won't disappoint them. The girls reflect on their own promises. Ruyu recalls that she hid while Qin risked everything. Qin reveals he spent all his savings and now needs to find a way to earn money fast. Xiao is confused. Money is just paper to her, but Qin clarifies he means gold, treasure, trading supplies for wealth. Xiao retrieves real gold bars from under the table, offering them to Qin. Initially confused, he realizes their true value. She casually tells him it's practically useless to them but valuable to him.
That night, Kin goes to bed in high spirits, thinking he's rich enough to pursue Jang Laku. Suddenly, Ryu approaches with a knife. She swings, but Xiao intercepts her hand. Ryu argues that if they finish him now, all his wealth would belong to them. Xiao reminds her that he saved their lives. Betrayal can't repay kindness. Ryu counters, recalling how Pu Sharang betrayed them to Faction 17. Xiao insists that Qin is not a traitor, he helped them without expecting anything in return. Qin, confused, asks what they're doing. Ryu dodges the question, saying she wants to sleep beside him. Xiao joins in, and he agrees, placing himself in the middle of the bed. Through the night, Qin lies content, flanked by the two girls. Ryu raises a small sickle to strike, but Xiao quickly stops her. Qin jolts awake as her leg bumps into him. He asks what she's trying to do. With a serious expression, she says she wants to sleep beside him and will stay close to protect him. The boy nods in agreement. The next morning, Ryu asks if Qin has been involved in anything unusual. Qin, puzzled, replies that he's just an ordinary guy. He leans in and asks how he managed to escape from the building. Confused, he asks how she knows. Smiling slightly, the girl explains that her extraordinary sense of smell detected it. She adds that the building is terrifying, and only the strongest survive. She suggests he must be strong too. Qin grins and admits he got lost, but owes Xiao for her weapon. It helped him get out. Xiao steps forward, smiling, and says that means her aim isn't so bad after all, inviting him to practice shooting. Later, at a shooting range, Ryu asks if Qin is really aiming correctly or if he has vision problems. She guides his hand to the gun, standing close beside him, and instructs him to relax his arm and stay calm while aiming. Only then can he fire. His bullet nearly hits the center of the target. Excited, Qin receives a notification. He's unlocked the long-range shooting skill. Confused, he wonders if he has enough resources, recalling that all his zombie cores are spent. He still needs them for dimensional jumps. Qin asks Xiao if she knows where they can get more zombie cores. She confirms there's a trade post about 2 kilometers away. Thrilled, Qin suggests they go. At the gate, Xiao knocks, and a man inside beckons them in, gun drawn. She teases him, asking if he's still afraid of zombies. The man laughs, saying humans scare him more, and asks what they want. Qin asks if he has zombie cores. The man asks what he has to trade. Qin places some 21st century food cans on the counter, and the man is astonished by the rarity. Qin retrieves the cans, wanting to see the cores first. Laughing, the man admits that Qin seems clever despite appearances. Qin points out that humans are scarier, so caution is wise. The man returns with a bag containing 11 cores. Normally, each can trades for 2 cores, but since these are new, they're worth 4. Qin reassures him and adds another can, making a request. He wants the man to inspect a gold bar. Though no expert, he confirms it looks real. Excited, Qin sees a potential trade opportunity, willing to trade food for gold despite its low local value. Back at the base, Qin reloads his system, now holding 24 skill points. He upgrades his long-range shooting 4 times, unlocking a new effect, Calamity Shot. With 9 points remaining and the next upgrade requiring 16, he tests his aim. Each shot hits perfectly. Activating the Doom Bullet effect, the system informs him it can only be used freely once per day. To activate, he must shout Doom Bullet, which embarrasses him. Muttering complaints, Qin finally shouts Doom Bullet, and the bullet fires at incredible speed. Outside, Ryu and Xiao watch in confusion. Qin marvels at his new power, but wonders why it didn't damage the building. Back at the base, he decides to study the bullet more closely. Meanwhile, the girls prepare supplies for Qin. Surprised, he offers to help, but Xiao assures him it's nothing, they're evolvees. Qin is impressed as she explains that ordinary survivors cannot compare, only a few succeed in evolving. Curious, he asks how someone becomes an evolvee and if he has a chance. Xiao explains 3 methods: surviving a virus infection, harder after mutations, consuming a zombie core, 10% chance if one survives, or taking an evolution potion, up to 30% chance. Excited, Qin asks how to get the potions. Xiao offers to take him to the Builders Alliance, where trades determine access. Qin agrees. The next day, Qin asks why Ryu isn't joining them and why she seems to dislike him. Xiao explains Ryu has a vision problem. Outside, zombies continue to swarm. Xiao notes the growing threat and suggests a cleanup. At the shooting range, Ryu struggles against Ken Shang and notices a building collapsing, the one Qin had fired at earlier. She's baffled by the sudden destruction.
In an alley, Xiao knocks out a zombie and explains the main road is crowded with them. Shooting should be a last resort. She opens the garage, revealing a supply point and a car. As they drive off, zombies pursue them. Qin realizes the danger, but Xiao reassures them and questions if he truly wants to become an evolutive. Warning, even the best potion can be fatal. Qin admits he isn't sure yet, but wants to buy a potion. Xiao cautions that the Builders Earth Alliance is like a guild. They may not be friendly and he should keep his cards close for now. A zombie crashes against the car window. Kin yells in shock. Xiao explains they're red zombies and wonders how so many appeared all at once. She tells Kin to start shooting. He opens fire, but one zombie breaks through the car's roof. Frustrated, Kin asks why he can't kill them. Xiao clarifies that normal weapons are useless against red zombies. Grabbing the zombie's arm, Xiao tells Kin to drive as fast as possible while she handles the rest. Climbing onto the roof, she charges a zombie with her sharp weapon and slices it in half. More zombies quickly close in. Xiao cuts through several, each blow precise, but one manages to grab her foot and hurl her off the car. She crashes onto the asphalt, surrounded by zombies. Closing her eyes in despair, she thinks it's over until Kin appears before her, glowing with power, yelling for the zombies to stay away from his bodyguard. Xiao stares in shock as Kin obliterates all the red zombies. Moments ago, he had been panicking, barely able to react. A minute ago, he saw Xiao fall, open the door and leapt out. Now he runs at lightning speed, dispatching each zombie with surgical precision. He even mocks them for failing to dodge his bullets, laughing as he promises to blow every single head off. Xiao watches in awe as Kin gathers his zombies' cores. Suddenly, his body trembles, struggling to keep up with the pace. One core is missing. Xiao shouts for him to look around. They're surrounded. Kin asks where so many zombies came from. Xiao admits she doesn't know and urges him to retreat to the car. Sprinting back, Kin fires while Xiao warns him to conserve ammo. They're overwhelmed. Zombies climb onto the car, trapping them completely. Xiao slaps the accelerator, crushing several zombies under the tires, their remains even spewing from the exhaust. Kin wonders why the car has stopped. Xiao explains that zombies are stuck under it, jamming the wheels, and now they're fully surrounded. Kin checks his ammo. Xiao says only a few bullets remain. He has 10. Not nearly enough. The only option left is the Doom Bullet. He confirms with the system and learns he can use one free Doom Bullet per day. Curious, he asks how many more he can buy with his points. Each costs 1 and he purchases 7 more, totaling 8. His gun glows purple with energy. He decides to save 2 points for dimensional jumps. If the 8 bullets aren't enough, he can escape, but he can't leave Xiao behind. Xiao reassures him that the car is sturdy for now. Kin fires all 8 bullets. Xiao scolds him for using them all, telling him to save at least 1. Kin asks why. She explains that the last bullet is always for yourself. No one wants to die eaten by zombies. In this world, death is normal. She's always prepared, hoping at least it will be as painless as possible. Kin is speechless. Time passes and nothing changes. The zombies remain. Kin grows furious. Then, the rain begins. Xiao comments that at least they don't need to run, and they can only hope the zombies are distracted. But the zombies stand firm, the stench worsening as the rain soaks their flesh. Water fills buckets in the trunk. It's nearly time to patch the hole in the car. Xiao remarks, "It hasn't rained like this in centuries. If it keeps up, you'll see something unusual." Kin asks what she means. She explains, rain temporarily restores the zombie's skin. They swell, looking more like they did in life, but it's temporary. They'll continue absorbing water until their skin cracks. They don't die, they just become even more grotesque. Kin groans. Xiao urges him to look outside. They're starting to resemble humans again. She wonders if the zombie by the window looked like that when alive, maybe reflecting its age if the world had been normal. Kin asks what she would do if the world was normal. Xiao admits she never thought about it. Maybe she would run a bakery. Kin agrees it suits her. Lightning strikes. Kin feels he can't leave her behind. There must be a way. Resting could allow him to use his speed to escape with her. A bull hits the ground, shocking Xiao. Then another strikes the car directly, scattering the zombies. Kin watches in disbelief as they fall, all dying from the impact. Xiao instructs him to clear the corpses. Kin notes they're practically boiling. By sunrise, the road is clear and both rejoice in their survival. Finally, they reach their destination. A man spots the approaching car and alerts the leader. At the gate, someone orders Kin and Xiao out and asks where they're from and if they're seeking shelter. Kin explains they're there to exchange supplies. Inside, the leader inspects what Kin brought, a can of food. Opening it, the girl complains, but Kin reassures her that the man is testing its quality. The leader smiles and his subordinates salivate at the aroma. A man tastes it and confirms it's good. Xiao grumbles. He ate it all. The leader complains. It's gone before I even had a chance to enjoy it. Calmly, Kin replies, don't worry, there's more. The leader keeps eating without a care in the world. Xiao complains again. He's already devoured 8 cans and we could have traded them for something far more valuable. The leader birds and casually says, not bad, I'm 30% full. Then he tells the guards they can finish whatever is left. They scramble and fight over the nearly empty cans, while he declares the food delicious and says he'll present it to the Lord. He orders someone to escort Ken and Xiao to the waiting room. A soldier leads a pair through the settlement. Despite everything outside the walls, the place looks peaceful. Vendors line the streets, and people seem busy with their routines. Ken asks if all the houses are truly occupied. The soldier nods. Everyone there is a refugee taken in by the Lord. Without him, they would have been eaten by zombies. Suddenly, a girl is slammed to the ground. A man begins beating her, yelling that she stole medicine. The girl begs for forgiveness, promising she'll never steal again. Worried, Ken steps in and asks why he's being so violent. Furious, the man asks if
Kin understands what she did. She stole medicine. Medicine is even rarer than food, and when the Lord allows it, theft is punishable by death. She had stolen from him several times before, and this time, he caught her red-handed. He screams for her to return what she took. The soldier guiding Kin tells him not to interfere. This city has its own laws for dealing with thieves. Kin and Shaolin keep moving as the man drags the girl away, saying he'll take her to the justice office to determine her punishment. Later, in another district, the soldier informs them that the Lord is busy and won't be able to see them today. He hands them a key to a room where they can stay the night and wait until morning. The next day, in the city square, an elderly woman stops a man and asks if he has seen her granddaughter. He says no, and the two begin arguing when she insists. She explains that her granddaughter has been missing since yesterday. She begs anyone around for information. Kin realizes the missing girl must be the one from the day before. The soldier confirms it, but assures him the woman will be informed soon. Still worried, Kin approaches the old woman and says her granddaughter was taken to the justice office. She panics, crying out that it's her fault. She's the one who needed the medicine. Before Kin can say more, the soldier pulls him away, reminding him it's nearly time to meet the Lord. The woman leaves, murmuring that she needs to go to the justice office immediately. In a grand hall, a man announces that the merchant Kin has arrived. The Lord authorizes his entry. Shirtless, surrounded by women, and piles of food, the Lord sits comfortably. Kin is confused by the scene. The Lord says he only does business with people he trusts, but heard Kent's products are excellent. He explains he brought fresh meat, and everyone who tried it loved it. He asks if the Lord wants a sample. A guard presents the cans. The Lord opens one, tastes it, and is immediately impressed. He grabs the others and devours them eagerly. He declares the food incredible, far superior to anything he normally eats, and says he wants all of it. He's ready to make the deal. Excited, Kin smiles. The Lord asks what he wants. In return, Kin requests zombie cores, evolution potions, and gold. The word gold confused the Lord, so a guard explained. Delighted, the Lord agrees. He orders the guards to bring everything Kin asked for. Then Kin adds one more request. Curious, the Lord asks what it is. Kin explains that a girl was caught stealing medicine yesterday and is currently in the justice office. He offers to provide medicine himself if she's released. The Lord asks the guard to confirm the story, and after hearing it's true, he considers it. Since Kin is willing to compensate the loss, the Lord decides no harm was done. He tells Kin that once the trade is complete, his guards will take him to free the girl. Grateful, Kin thanks him. A while later, Kin receives 10 kilograms of gold, 100 zombie cores, and 2 evolution potions. He thinks about all the skills he could unlock, but even more important, he plans to return to the real world and sell the gold. He has no idea how much it will be worth, but he's certain it'll be a fortune. The guard hands him an official release order signed by the Lord and says he'll take him to the justice office. Kin glances around for Yan. She should be waiting for him. When they arrive, a crowd has gathered, whispering anxiously. Some people are bleeding, and everyone stares toward the building. He doesn't understand why so many people are at the justice office entrance. The soldier shouts for them to move and scolds them for wasting the Lord's time. Someone speaks up and says he summoned the crowd. People need to witness what happens to thieves in the Lord's city. He declares that everything in the settlement belongs to the Lord, and questioning his authority is a crime punishable by death. The girl's grandmother kneels on the ground, sobbing. Kin freezes in disbelief. His fingers crush the release order in his hand. Behind the man stands the girl, dead, her body hanging. Kin demands to know what kind of sick joke this is. He stares at her lifeless form and begins shouting. He grabs the man's uniform, asking what a human life is worth to him. She stole only to help her family. The man says he's never seen Kin before and assumes he's just a merchant from another city. Then he grabs Kin's wrist, twists it, and breaks his arm. Agony shoots through Kin's body. The man says since Kin is not from their settlement, they'll let him off this time. The soldier apologizes and confirms Kin is indeed a merchant. The man orders them to bring Xiao and asks if she was with Kin as well. Terrified, the boy demands to know what happened. The man says she was caught trying to break into the prison, probably furious about the thief's execution, and he's unsure whether she deserves to live. But the soldier argues that the two brought a valuable supply of food into the city, and killing them would mean that the Lord never tastes such delicacies again. Still, the man coldly replies that only one of them needs to stay alive. Kin commanded the system to load all the zombie cores. Instantly, he gained 200 skill points, enough to level up 3 times. He instructed the system to proceed. Using 28 points, he advanced to level 7, and another 50 points healed his injuries. Kin realized the man's intentions were deadly. Capturing Xiao had been effortless for him, proof of his immense strength. Kin's best chance was to rely on extreme speed, snatch Xiao, and escape before it was too late. Activating his high-speed ability, he dashed toward her, slipping past the man and the guards. He signaled the enemies to hold their positions. To his delight, his enhanced speed lasted longer than expected. Xiao screamed for him, but he urged her to stay calm. They had to escape first. Together, they broke through the city walls and sprinted into the forest. Exhaustion hit Qin hard. His energy drained completely. Luck had been on their side.
Xiao apologized, but Qin assured her it wasn't her fault. He should have acted faster. She replied they couldn't have known the man would strike so quickly, admitting she was too weak to fight him. Qin asked if Chief Kichi, the Chief of Justice, was really that strong. Xiao estimated him to be around level 5. Surprised, Qin thought that sounded low. She explained that evolutionists start at level 1, and leveling up is extremely difficult. She had spent 10 years just reaching level 3. Every faction had an evolutionist for protection, but level 5 was still rare. Rumor had it that a level 10 could destroy an entire city with a single strike. Even in the apocalypse, Qin realized there were people of unimaginable power. He had once believed the system would allow him to dominate the world, but now he understood that path would be far from easy. Suddenly, Chief Kichi appeared. Xiao warned Qin to be careful. The man struck him directly. Qin tried to dodge, but Kichi relentlessly attacked, landing blows to his face. Xiao screamed for him to stop. Kichi asked if they really thought they could leave the city as it was. Qin collapsed to the ground, battered. Xiao attempted to retaliate, but he accidentally struck her. She fell, injured, and Kichi seized her by the neck. Desperate, Qin retrieved a level-up potion and drank it. Pain surged through his body as Kichi watched. Xiao panicked, asking if he had truly taken the evolution potion. Kichi laughed, releasing Xiao while Qin writhed in agony. He mocked Qin, calling him a wriggling insect, questioning whether he preferred to destroy himself rather than accept defeat. Qin screamed, memories flooding back. Childhood fights, a father's harsh words, years of injustice at work, and moments when he'd protected others from harm all resurfaced. In this apocalyptic world, he felt powerless under Kichi's blows, doubting if he could even evolve to level 2. Qin remembered simpler times, moments with people who had shown him kindness, like Zhang Lakshu's helper, who could cook wonderfully and even offered him a cake once. These fleeting memories mixed with his current battle, amplifying his desperation. Kichi kidnapped Xiao, threatening her. She urged him to just kill her, but Kichi taunted her, admiring her beauty and speaking of cruel acts. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his ankle, toppling both him and Xiao. It was Qin, rising from the blood-soaked ground. Enraged, he vowed Kichi would not escape. Grabbing Kichi, he unleashed a furious flurry of punches. Xiao watched, amazed. Kichi lay defeated. She worried for Qin, who laughed through the strain, saying he wasn't so easily taken down. Then, Kichi struck Qin in the chest, piercing him. Xiao screamed as he was lifted into the air. Kichi mocked him, claiming that even with evolution, Qin was still only level 1 and couldn't win. But then something extraordinary happened. Qin's body began to float. Kichi's eyes widened in shock. Qin had awakened the golden abyssal physique, a power only attainable at level 10. Panicked, Kichi tried to flee. Qin's entire body radiated gold, and with a mere gesture, he unleashed his power. The massive explosion obliterated Kichi. The city trembled from the force. The Lord sensed a powerful presence. Faction 17 chief felt the disturbance, and the climbers' support group women were alarmed. In the forest, Qin collapsed, unconscious. Xiao held him desperately, trying to stop the bleeding, but to her amazement, his body began to heal on its own. Determined, she lifted him, ready to take him to a doctor. The Lord entered the forest, but the powerful aura had already disappeared. He wondered why such a powerful presence had appeared so nearby, and hoped he hadn't accidentally offended anyone. Meanwhile, in a hideout, someone banged forcefully on the door. A woman opened it, but was quickly pushed aside by Xiao and Qin. She complained that if the door broke, she'd have to pay for it. Desperate, Xiao pleaded with the doctor to save the boy. The woman found the situation unusual. Xiao asked about Qin Shuang's condition, and the doctor admitted his vital signs were extremely weak. She couldn't say how he was doing at the moment. Scanning his organs, she discovered a large metallic area over his uterus region, something that appeared to have kept him alive, though she'd never seen anything like it before. Valina asked if that meant he would recover. The doctor cautioned that she couldn't promise anything. Everything about him was abnormal. Xiao pressed for answers, and the doctor instructed them to leave him there for a few days. Elsewhere, the leader of Faction 17 ordered his subordinates to beat him. Confused, they hesitated, but he explained that he had humiliated them enough. Now it was their turn. Reluctantly, they attacked, and afterward he noted that his men didn't even flinch while striking him. The man then knocked on the doctor's door. She opened with a stern expression. He told Dr. Zhao he was injured again and demanded treatment. She complained. It was his third visit in a month, and he got hurt far too often. He shrugged, saying it came with the job. Xiao froze. She remembered how he had threatened her the last time they met. Why was he here now? And why didn't his faction have its own doctor? If he discovered them, he could surround the hideout. She needed to act fast. The man tried to enter, but Dr. Zhao blocked him, citing a patient inside. Xiao attempted to lift Qin, alarming Xiao. The doctor insisted he couldn't be moved, but Xiao argued they had no choice. They had to leave. Suddenly, the door burst open. It was the Faction 17 man. He pulled out a gun and fired, but Zhao threw himself over him. He shouted that they had killed dozens of his men, and now he would finish them. He claimed he had already sent a signal to his faction. Enraged, Zhao warned him that he couldn't harm anyone inside. Those were his patients. If he touched them, he should never return seeking help.
Her seriousness forced him to calm down. He promised not to interfere, but he told Xiao they had only a few more days before the area would be sealed. He pointed at the duo and stated their boss guaranteed they wouldn't escape. Once they left, it would be the end of the line for them. Meanwhile, the system notified Qin that he had evolved and gained the new ability. He could hardly believe he was alive. He had spent 3 years evolving to level 5. Confused, he listened as the system explained that to survive such a powerful opponent, he had unconsciously sacrificed his own life energy. A voice added that it never expected Qin could become an evolutionist through sheer will alone. Qin asked who was speaking. The voice replied it was an old man and that his evolution would unlock additional system functions. Still puzzled, Qin asked why he had received the system. The voice said it believed Qin could see things through to the end, and that at the end of the path they would meet. As the day passed, Dr. Zhao marveled at his recovery. It was nothing short of miraculous. Qin had fully healed in a single day, faster than anyone she had ever seen. Xiao asked why he hadn't woken yet. Zhao agreed he might need a stimulus, so she lightly punched him. Startled, Qin awoke and asked if she was a monster. The doctor reassured him that he was recovering well. Xiao told him to get dressed. Later, Qin asked if Faction 17 had surrounded them. Xiao confirmed they had. She could usually handle Kia-song, but she was still injured from their last battle. Nervous, Qin insisted he would deal with them himself. Jumin offered to accompany him, but Qin told her to stay and recover. Smiling, he assured her he could handle them alone. Outside, a man asked Kia-song why they hadn't simply attacked. Kia-song replied that he had promised Dr. Zhao. Another man suggested taking advantage of her absence while she went for medicine. Excited, Kia-song agreed and ordered the men to capture Qin but leave the girl alive. Suddenly, the doctor's door opened. The man was stunned. It was Qin. "You had no reason to come here since I came to you," he said confidently. Seeing him, Kia-song flew into a rage, ordering his men to attack. But beams of energy suddenly surrounded Qin and he stood there unshaken and ready. The status panel lit up, revealing the power levels of Qin's opponents. Everyone was level 1 except Song, who stood at level 3. Qin himself was level 1, a perfect evolutionist. The system boosted his speed and strength, raising his chances of victory to 90%. Swiftly moving through the enemies, he struck them down until he reached the leader, landing a decisive punch. All the men collapsed, stunned. The leader, furious, remarked that the last time he'd seen Qin, he was just an ordinary human. Qin replied calmly that if he had used weapons, everyone there would be dead, but he was giving them a chance. Then he ordered them to kneel and bark like dogs. At the merchant's hideout, Qin handed over all the gold he had collected. The merchant was pleased, and Qin gave him several cans of food in return. Before leaving, he instructed him to keep stockpiling gold. Confused, the man wondered why. People usually traded zombie cores for food. Qin now had 20 kilograms of gold. He told Jan he was heading out to gather more supplies, especially food and water, and requested a dimensional jump. Qin awoke to a knock at the door. It was Jang Locker, clearly worried. She hugged him tightly. He asked why she seemed so anxious, and she explained she had been missing for days. He made up an excuse about being busy with business and having no cell signal. Upset, she told him he needed to inform her next time. She almost called the police. Nervously, Qin promised he understood and offered a gift as an apology. Jonglok insisted she didn't want anything and that he shouldn't spend money on her, but Qin reassured her he had earned some money in the past few days. They decided to go shopping and she could choose whatever she wanted. At the mall, Jonglok commented on how expensive the store was, but Qin ignored her and told her to pick anything she liked. He now had enough money for multiple purchases. Curious, she asked how he had acquired so much money. Speaking to the saleswoman, Qin asked to see the best items. A pearl necklace was presented and he placed it around Jonglok's neck. She kissed his cheek, saying she loved it and would treasure any gift from him. Kin bought it, requesting the saleswoman to wrap it up, then hurried to the bank to deposit some money. At the bank, Kin asked if they traded gold, and the teller confirmed, asking how many grams he wanted to sell. He opened his backpack for inspection. The manager rushed in, apologizing for the wait and asking to see the gold. Kin showed him the backpack's contents, leaving the manager stunned. Kin requested the gold be tested, confirming it weighed 20 kilograms. After a short wait, Kin signed the documents to complete the transaction. A bank employee asked how much the gold was worth, and the manager replied it was 99.6% pure and valued at 6.6 million in cash. Returning to the luxury store, Kin found Jonglok arguing with the saleswoman. The girl claimed the necklace as hers, but the woman insisted it hadn't been paid for. Kin asked what was happening, and Jonglok explained the woman had tried to steal her necklace. The woman offered cash, but Kin presented a piece of gold, declaring he wanted to buy it. That single piece could have purchased dozens of necklaces. Furious, the woman accused him of using fake gold. The clerk explained the necklace was already reserved, so even paying first wouldn't have worked. He wrapped it and handed it to Jonglok while the woman stormed out in anger.
Jonglok suggested going to the market for a few things, and Kin agreed. Suddenly, someone struck Kin with a can. A group of men approached, scowling. The woman had sent them to chase the couple. One was enraged, claiming they had stolen his girlfriend's necklace. The group had advanced threateningly, but Kin pulled Jonglok behind him. She urged him to run, but nothing happened. Turning, Kin calmly told her they should continue to the market. Shocked, she looked back and saw all the men unconscious. Kin admitted he had no idea what had happened. As they walked on, Jonglok's uncle appeared. She asked how he found her and whether he had tracked her phone. He reminded her of the promise she had made to her father and ordered her to come home. Kin stepped in, blocking her path, insisting she didn't want to go and telling the man to leave. Angrily, the uncle said Kin was unsuitable for Jonglok and her father was already seeking for a proper husband. If he found one, she would be married. He reminded her of her father's warning. If she refused, someone would capture Kin and throw him into the river. Lowering her head, Jonglok said she understood and would go back, but Kin asked her to wait. He asked if she would stay with him if he became wealthy. Mocking him, the uncle scoffed at the idea of having over 6 million in the bank and told Kin to stop dreaming, saying he would need 600 million in a year to return. Kin pondered the 600 million and realized that was the amount he needed to be with Jonglok. Determined, he resolved to save the money and pursue her. At the G04 base, a man asked the soldier if he had secured the item. Yes, the soldier replied. The Earth Alliance demanded thousands of black crystals in exchange. The man was stunned by the outrageous price, exclaiming if they were trying to bleed him dry. The soldier explained that if he couldn't pay, the Alliance had said to forget it, they would sell to someone else. He thought about it. Despite the steep cost, if he could buy it and deliver it to the right person, he would gain immense influence, and everything could be his. He made up his mind and ordered the soldier to retrieve what he wanted. Far away, Kin returned from his trip, dragging bags and suitcases. Xiao's eyes widened at the sheer amount he had brought. Kin began listing his purchases. Confused, she asked why he had bought so much flour. He explained it was to make sweets for them, recalling her dream of becoming a pastry chef. Xiao reminded him that her mission was to protect him, and they didn't have time for baking. Kin approached her gently, saying she still hadn't fully healed and should rest at the base. Smiling, Ruyo declared she would travel with him, and Kin agreed. But Xiao intervened, insisting that wouldn't happen. She confronted her sister, asking if she intended to let Kin be killed along the way. Ruyo replied she wasn't cruel. She simply wanted to cooperate with Kin Shuang this time. The boy confirmed they would leave the next day. Upon arriving at the G04 base, Kin noted the narrow entrance. Ruyo explained it was easy to defend and difficult to attack, perfect against zombies and enemies. Inside, two men carried a box. The chief demanded to see the treasure and ordered it open. Inside lay a stone staff. He frowned, skeptical it might be fake. When he reached to touch it, the men shouted for him to stop. The staff was poisoned. Even an evolutionist could be affected within minutes, and a level 5 evolutionist could hold it for 15 minutes at most. Shocked, he wondered why anyone would want such a dangerous item, and he asked if the staff's authenticity had been confirmed. The soldier replied it had. They tested it on 5 non-evolutionists, all of whom mutated shortly after touching it. Relieved, the man admitted he felt safer when his subordinates handled matters properly. Suddenly, someone called to report that 2 merchants had arrived with items to trade, including a bag full of canned food. Excited, the man declared it a lifesaver, especially since he was out of money. Kin and Ruyo waited for the commander. The girl confessed she had never been to this base. He reassured her she had nothing to fear, he needed money quickly. The commander arrived, apologizing for the delay and eager to inspect the trade goods. Kin opened the bags, revealing their contents. The commander was stunned. Just one of the cans was worth a fortune, and there must have been nearly 100. He gestured to his guard and asked what they wanted. Ruyo listed zombie cores, gold, and jewelry. The soldier closed the door. Startled, Ruyo asked why. Smiling, the commander explained he simply wanted to discuss the trade's value properly, then ordered his men to arrest them. Ruyo shouted at Kin to run, but Kin took a deep breath, wondering why people in this apocalypse were always so aggressive when all he wanted was a peaceful business. With a burst of super speed, Kin charged through the soldiers, leaving them stunned. He scaled the walls with precise, powerful leaps. Every movement was calculated, each strike devastating. In the blink of an eye, he took down all the men. The commander watched in disbelief as Kin defeated his soldiers. Ruyo marveled at Qin Shuang's power. Desperate, the commander claimed it was all a misunderstanding, but Kin refused to listen. Defeated, the man complained about the pain and admitted his mistake. Kin demanded to know why he had forced him into this, and declared his disgust. The commander promised to give him anything he wanted and complete the trade. Ruyo angrily asked Kin if he truly trusted him after being ambushed. Kin said yes. He had learned that in this world, wolves often wore sheep's clothing, but even wolves could be tamed for a fair trade. The commander agreed, saying masters like Kin deserved respect. He led them to show the available resources, including the recently received box. Kin inspected it and saw only a broken staff, declaring it wasn't what he requested. Nervous, the commander explained he had spent all his savings on it and had no choice. He insisted the staff was unique and powerful, increasing damage when used, and urged Kin to test it. Kin picked up the stone staff cautiously, asking if it really was that potent. The commander thought it was foolish. The boy would be poisoned within seconds. Confident, he watched as Kin held the staff, but Kin surprised him, asking the commander to try it himself. Hesitant, the man attempted to evade, but Kin insisted, holding the staff with a cloth, and demanded he take it. Terrified, the man stepped back. Kin shouted for him to hold it with bare hands. The staff fell near the commander's feet and he panicked. Kin asked why he was so afraid, reminding him he had been given a second chance but had failed to value it. Ruyo urged Kin to kill him.
The commander tried to plead, but Kin grabbed him by the neck, his gaze full of hatred. Memories of the girl he had seen hanging flashed through his mind. At that moment, the Chief of Justice, Kichi, appeared, asking if Kin enjoyed holding someone's life in his hands. Startled, Kin released the commander. Stepping back, Kin told Ruyo to gather their things. They were leaving. She asked why he hadn't killed him, since he had tried to kill them first. Kin, furious, silenced her and took the stone staff as compensation for the commander's treachery. Ruyo couldn't help but think how cowardly Kin seemed. He had incredible abilities, yet couldn't even kill or protect his own sister. As they began to walk away, the commander called out, asking them to wait. Nervously, he inquired if Kin could save his base. Furious, the girl snapped, asking if he really thought they were doing this out of charity. The commander pleaded, promising that if they helped, they could take whatever they wanted from the base. He explained that they were on the brink of annihilation, and without assistance, the base would be destroyed. Ruyo, skeptical, asked if he was still trying to trick them, remarking that the man was practically begging for death. The commander continued, explaining that in an attempt to recruit a level 5 evolutive, they had sent countless supplies, but the others kept demanding more. Now, all that remained was looting. He urged them to follow him, insisting that once they saw the situation, they would understand. Leading the duo, he revealed a pit filled with burned corpses, his own men, all killed in a single day. Kin asked why, and the commander explained that the daily loss of men wasn't due to outside enemies, but because of the base leader. To prevent disease from spreading, bodies had to be burned every day. Getting too close to the fire could make one sick from the stench of burning flesh. Ruyo muttered that the leader must be insane, warning that if things continued this way, he'd wipe out the entire base. The commander agreed with the commander, revealing that this was the reason he had decided to overthrow the leader. Kin asked if that explained why he had spent so much trying to recruit a level 5 evolutive, and the commander confirmed. But he added that one level 5 alone wouldn't suffice. They needed at least 3. The base leader was a level 7 evolutive, walking the streets, killing and terrorizing everyone. With just one move, he could take anyone's life, insisting that all must die. At the base, the men gathered in front of 2 other evolutives. One remarked that the third level 5 was missing and asked the commander if he was deceiving them. He denied it, promising to explain. While he didn't have another level 5, he had someone with extraordinary abilities. The evolutives looked confused. One asked a soldier if it was him, noting he was only level 4. The soldier clarified that the super evolutive was not him. The commander then introduced Qin Shuang, emphasizing his strength. The man scrutinized Qin, questioning if he could face a level 5 evolutive. Qin confidently replied that he had done so before.
The man burst out laughing. "That's ridiculous! Seriously, Commander Lee was fooled by a child. Since the start of the apocalypse, no one has exceeded level 3, and yet this boy thinks he can surpass level 4. Kin admitted that during his previous fight with the level 5, he had been lucky and wasn't sure if he could surpass higher levels, but he was willing to try. He promised that if he lost, he would give up and even compensate the man with 100 cans of food. He added that he was wearing a glove that blocked poison. Commander Lee urged them to waste energy and abandon the fight, but the evolutive insisted that if Kin couldn't prove he could surpass level 4, he was out. He wouldn't risk his life for a child. Kin later reminded the man that this wasn't a fight to the death, just a competition. The man agreed. The match began. Someone signaled, and the man charged. Kin defended himself with his poisonous stone, the impact ringing sharply. Kin thought the punch was incredibly strong, and the man's speed was unmatched. He realized he would need to unleash his best skill immediately. The man taunted that Kin could dodge some blows, but he was still far from surpassing level 4. He struck Kin with a knee, sending him to the ground. Kin wondered if all level 5s were monsters. As he ran, the man yelled at him for dodging like a coward. Kin saw his chance. He lunged, striking with the stone staff. The man remained unfazed. "That strike is called the Lineage Annihilator," the man said, observing silently. Commander Lee asked another evolutive if his older brother was married. The reply reassured him that his brother would handle it. Concerned, the commander noted the staff was toxic and questioned if his brother could withstand it. Enveloped in a blue light, the man threw the staff and Kin across the room. Kin skidded along the ground as the man charged, landing a devastating punch to his face. From above, he declared Kin had lost. He praised his skill for a level 1, but dismissed his performance against a level 3, or even a weak level 4. Kin had relied solely on brute force, without technique. He advised him to return home and train more. The man called his brother, causing the commander to panic. He assured them that they would honor their word provided a third level 5 appeared, not just a child. A stranger laughed, dismissing the boy as useless, saying Commander Lee should have called him instead. Kin was shocked. The creature had taken his staff and glove. The stranger criticized Kin for using the staff incorrectly. Startled, Kin shouted in disbelief that the zombie was speaking, but the man snapped, insisting they were human. Kin apologized, explaining he had turned his head too quickly and been confused.
Commander Leo was relieved to see his brother Hojami and asked if he had decided to help. Hojami replied that he wasn't there for them, but for the marvelous staff he had been seeking. Kin protested, insisting the staff was his. Outraged, Hojami demanded the truth from the commander, who admitted he had purchased the staff for him with a hefty sum, urging him to accept helping them. "Please," the stranger said, finally agreeing to help. The commander urged Kin to calm down, explaining that he had no choice, but added that if Kin chose to stay and assist, he would be rewarded. Kin agreed to help with one condition. Once everything was over, all transactions from the base must go through him, making him the sole supplier. The commander asked if Kin could provide the base with food and medicine. Kin confirmed, promising to sell everything at low cost in exchange for gold. The commander nodded, considering it a fair deal. The level 5 evolutive felt a twinge of pain but kept it hidden. Later, everyone gathered as the commander thanked them for agreeing to participate. He began outlining the plan, starting with introductions for clarity. One evolutive introduced himself as Fang Wu, who could become bulletproof. His prezer, Fang Wen, also level 5, had the ability to freeze anything he touched. Hojami, another level 5, introduced himself with a hearty laugh. Ken admitted he was level 1, able to gather energy, while Ruyo said she was level 2 and could perform calculations like a computer. The commander then detailed the capture plan. Their target, base leader Yi, was level 7, and his ability to liquefy his body made him nearly impossible to capture. The strategy was to lure him into a secret room. Hojami would release gas to paralyze his nerves. Fang Wu, Kin, and the guards would restrain him, while Fang Wen froze him. Once immobilized, a mechanism would seal him inside a special containment box. Fang Wu commented that the plan sounded solid, and Hojami laughed, joking about them discovering his unique skill. The commander asked when they would act. He emphasized that they could not afford more casualties, so the operation was set for the next day. The following day, the commander successfully lured Yi into the trap. Once inside the secret room, the door shut. Yi questioned whether the commander intended to kill him, then attacked with his floating liquid form. Fang Wu stepped in, ordering Leah to move back. Yi's fury intensified. Hojami tried to strike from behind, but Kin pulled him away just in time. Hojami thanked Kin, joking that he should have been gentler, to which Kin yelled for him to back off. Fang Wu attempted to punch Yi, but the leader's attack sliced his skin, shocking the commander. Yi explained that high-speed, high-pressure liquids could pierce any defense. Fang Wen froze the liquid, allowing Fang Wu to dispose of it. Yi, enraged, attacked Fang Wen, but Kin intervened to protect him. As Fang Wu prepared to strike, he shouted for Kin to focus. The commander landed a punch on Yi, breaking his form. Fang Wen noted, "Now is the moment."
Qin carried Fang Wen to Ye, who began freezing Yi, but a water vortex blocked him. Qin asked if Yi was defeated. The commander said no, the leader had dispersed to escape. The liquid fell to the floor. Commander Leah shouted for the guards to secure the door, preventing Yi's escape. Yi began reforming, surrounded by the liquid. Fang Wen wondered what the leader was planning. Leah grew tense, recognizing Yi's impending move. He ordered the soldiers to take cover. Yi launched cutting attacks in all directions, breaching even the shields and striking the captain. Feng Wu urged everyone to hide behind him. Yi's assault continued. Leah yelled that their defenses were compromised. It was time. Yi's attack drained much of his energy, leaving him in liquid form for 10 seconds. Fang Wen seized the opportunity. Qin rushed forward as Fang Wen froze Yi. The leader began reforming, but Fang Wen had enough time to encase him fully in ice. The ice cracked slightly, and Fang Wen shouted in desperation as Yi tried to break free. Hojami assured him while Commander Leah injected poison into the ice, spreading it through Yi's body. With a sinister grin, Hojami declared Yi will sleep forever. Without his antidote, no one can escape. Finally, a solid block of ice formed. The captain confirmed the leader's defeat. That night, the base celebrated in the hall. The commander thanked everyone and announced that the tyrant had finally been subdued. To show their gratitude, they had prepared plenty of food, which Qin devoured happily. Leah mentioned he had invited beautiful women to join them. Qin and Fang Wu grew nervous while Hojami seemed amused. The women's presence lifted the mood further. Conversations began, and one woman asked Qin if he was the hero of the base, noting his youthful appearance. Ruyo quietly observed, thinking all men were the same. Later, after everyone grew drunk, the commander suggested they be escorted to their rooms. Two women carried Qin to his room and laid him on the bed, commenting on how easily he got drunk. Noticing he was sweating, one suggested he take a shower to cool down. While chatting, Fang Wen remarked that the commander truly understood him. They decided to spend the night talking. Meanwhile, Hojami laughed at the stunning women Leah had brought, assuring them he meant no harm. In Fang Wu's room, he dismissed the women, closing the door firmly. In Qin's room, the girls cleaned him with a damp cloth, noting that he would likely sleep through the night. They continued their care, ensuring he was comfortable before leaving him to rest. However, something caught their attention and they chose to stay, keeping Qin company through the night. The next morning, Ruyo slapped Qin awake, scolding him for sleeping in too long. She pulled him by the ear, yelling at the pervert to get up, and a commotion erupted in the room. Fang Wu and Fang Wen walked down the corridors. Fang Wen winced from the pain in his back and legs, prompting his brother to ask if he was okay. The young man assured him he was fine. Commander Lee, noticing their departure, asked if they really had to leave so soon and whether they wouldn't stay a few more days. But the brothers explained they had other matters to attend to. Qin added that he would gather the supplies the base needed and return in 3 days.
Hum commented that simply being a merchant wasn't enough for Qin and asked if he wanted to join him, promising to teach him a method to level up quickly. Fang Wen warned Qin not to trust him. If it were that easy, Hojami would have already advanced further. He also recalled seeing Hojami once with a younger boy and asked about his whereabouts. Fang Wu tossed something to Qin. Curious, he asked what it was. The man explained it was a walkie-talkie to communicate and mentioned that their organization needed talents like Qin. He only had to speak into the device if he wanted to join. With that, they said their goodbyes. 3 days later, a man informed the new leader, Lei, that Qin Chuang had returned. Lei asked if he had brought the supplies. The soldier suggested he see for himself, and indeed, Qin had arrived with 3 fully loaded trucks. Lei was speechless. Despite the enormous request, Qin had delivered everything in just 3 days. Qin told Lei to check the supplies, and together they organized them. One worker remarked he had never seen so many resources. With these supplies and fertilizers, the base could finally become self-sufficient. No one would go hungry again. Lei, astonished, asked if Qin was some kind of god and how he had managed to gather so much. Qin deflected the question, instructing Lei simply to pay what he had promised and assuring him that he would always provide what was needed. A soldier handed Qin a bag, calling it his reward. Surprised at how small it seemed for 3 truckloads, Qin questioned it. Lei explained it contained black crystals, far more valuable than the zombie cores originally promised. Qin held 1 crystal and the system notified him that each could store 100 skill points. He was amazed. A single small crystal held 50 times the potential of a zombie core. Lei also presented the promised gold, opening a wooden box filled with gold bars. Qin accepted it gratefully. Later, at the hideout, Qin told Xiao and Ruyo that he would be away for a few days, and they agreed. In the real world, carrying the much heavier box of gold, Qin discovered a painting under the lid. It appeared ancient with a name written in English, Picasso. Finding it strange, he hung it on the wall. Another day, 2 men examined the piece. One commented on its oddity, but agreed it was worth the 200 million spent. Meanwhile, Zhang Laku was at the blind date her family had arranged. One man instructed Uncle Zhao to keep an eye on her, ensuring she caused no trouble. Zhao agreed. They then debated what to do about Qin since the source of his gold was still untraceable. One suggested calling the police, but another dismissed the idea, explaining he had personally approved the gold purchase. Qin had good connections and they needed the gold, but Zhang Leku couldn't keep him. They wanted a son-in-law capable and worthy. At the blind date, the boy asked Zhang Leku if she liked the restaurant. She said yes. He mentioned her father's concern that she spent too much time at home and invited her to visit his family's island. Zhang Leku refused. Undeterred, he asked where she would like to go, perhaps another continent, but she declined again. Frustrated, she admitted she had come only because she was forced and had no intention of staying in touch. Zhang Leku stood up, calling the boy a womanizer. Since the meal was over, she would not waste any more time and walked away. The boy muttered in irritation that she had been ungrateful. That night, Zhang Leku returned home. Her father confronted her about the dinner. Annoyed, she asked why he was there. He asked if she wouldn't even call him father after everything. Zhang Leku told him to leave, threatening to call the police if he showed up unannounced. He warned that pushing everyone away would scare off potential suitors from prominent families. Furious, Zhang Leku accused him of treating her like an object for his own interests. She was already in love with someone else. He retorted that the boy was a nobody who could not make her happy and that he could not leave the family business in her hands. She countered, reminding him he had also been a nobody once. She didn't care about the business. She only wanted happiness. He asked if she would continue like this even if it led to Qin Shuang's death, claiming that if she didn't obey, the boy would disappear. She shot back that her father was leading her to the same fate as her mother. When he shouted at her to be quiet, she replied that this is exactly who he was. He had driven her mother mad. He slapped her, and she glared back with pure hatred. Meanwhile, Qin was in his room, writing a shopping list. When someone rang the doorbell, he wondered who it could be at this hour. It was Zhang Leku. He asked why she hadn't called him, explaining he had planned to visit her the next day. Excited, she said it wouldn't take a year for him to earn enough for her father to accept him. She kissed him, and Qin, flustered, stepped back and asked her to wait. He inquired if something had happened, his father perhaps, but she told him to forget everything for now and focus only on her. She moved closer.